Hello everyone and welcome back. In this installment of our Flask app and model deployment video series, I am going to go through what I call approach 2C. I'll highlight it here. What I have open in VS Code is my notes on two different approaches to deploying a web app and more specifically a Python Flask app to Heroku. So the first one was deploying the app directly using an Ubuntu stack. We had to define a Procfile, which I will show here, and a requirements.txt, which I will show here. That is shown in another video. The second approach, which is also in a different video, describes how to deploy the app as a more portable Docker container using the Heroku container stack. To do this, we had to create a Dockerfile, which I will show here. Okay, now, to expand on two, there were three approaches to approach number two, deploying the Flask app as a Docker container, that I wanted to show you demos of. So in the video I just talked about, I went through 2A, which was building a Docker image locally and then pushing that image to Heroku's container registry to deploy the app. In another video, I went through 2B, which was defining a heroku.yml file, pushing our source code to Heroku's Git, and then having Heroku build the Docker image, register it, and deploy it as a container. 2A and 2B correspond to these two ways that Heroku lists in their documentation for deploying your app with Docker. So 2A is this one right here, and 2B is this one right here. I have a video for each one of these. Now, in this video, I want to show you 2C, which is another great approach, but I wouldn't say it's official because it's not listed here on the deploying with Docker documentation on the Heroku Dev Center site. What we're going to do for 2C is we are going to do kind of a hybrid of 2A and 2B using GitHub. So at a high level, we're going to define another YAML file. We'll call this one main.yml, and we'll put it in a special directory that Github Actions uses, which is .github/workflows. In this main.yml file, we are going to specify a GitHub action that will, on push, build our Docker image based on the Dockerfile we defined in a previous video, this one here, and then push that Docker image to Heroku's container registry. So essentially, we're doing 2B because we're defining how our Docker image and how our container should be deployed, but it's like 2A where the image is built on GitHub and then pushed to Heroku's container registry instead of 2B where the Docker image is pushed, or excuse me, the Docker image is built and pushed from Heroku. So hopefully that's clear. I did my best here to describe 2A, 2B, and 2C. Just once again, 2A, this first official approach from Heroku, and 2B, this second official approach from Heroku. So for 2C, we could write our own GitHub action from scratch. It would be very long and it would reinvent the wheel. Thankfully, the way GitHub Actions is set up is developers can write GitHub Actions and release them for other developers or other folks to use. So I have open here on github.com marketplace actions, an action called deploy to Heroku. This GitHub action is not maintained by GitHub. Okay, I'll just make a little note here. It says deploy to Heroku is not certified by GitHub. It is provided by a third party and is governed by separate terms of service, privacy policy, and support documentation, which is another reason why I'm calling 2C an unofficial approach, but it's a cool one nevertheless. So thanks to all the contributors for this deploy to Heroku GitHub action. We're going to use it in this video for 2C. You can take a look at the table of contents. I encourage you to read through it. We're going to cruise down a bit until we get to the section on deploying with Docker. Here it is. Heroku now allows users to deploy Docker containers. To use this feature, simply add a Docker file to your project. We've already done it. Check. Add a command to the end of the Docker file. We did something like this. We used the entry point command instead, but it'll still do what we need to do. This is the command used by Heroku to start the web server inside the container. Finally, make sure to set the use Docker flag to true before deploying. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to add .github/workflow/main.yml to our project, to our local Git repo. And then once we set a few things up, we'll make a commit with this file. We'll push to GitHub, and on push, we should wait a bit and see that we'll be able to deploy our most recent push as a Docker container web app on Heroku. All right, so I'm going to copy, and I'm going to make a new folder here, a new directory called .github. And then in this directory, I'm going to make a new directory called workflows. And then in this directory, I'm going to make a main.yml. And I'm going to paste everything I just copied over from the documentation for the GitHub action that we're going to use. There are a few things that I need to change here. So first, down here with the with statement, we've got some parameters here. So one is a Heroku API key, okay? This is going to have to be your own Heroku API key that I'll show you here momentarily how to get. We'll set it up as a secret for the repository, and then we'll just refer to that secret in code here. As long as we name it Heroku API key, this will work just fine. Next, Heroku app name, your app's name. Okay, so we need to replace this with our app. So let's go over to Heroku and make a new app. I've been reusing this interview-app-Gina app name. I'm going to reuse it again. So let me delete this app. And then I'll make it again. So new, create new app, paste, create app. Awesome. Now I'm going to head back to my YAML file and paste that app name there. Now the Heroku email needs to be replaced with a string representing our Heroku email. So this needs to be yours, not mine. I will save this. Awesome. Now, what we need to do before we push is set up this Heroku API secret. So head back over to heroku.com, and what you'll need to do is go to your account settings page. If you scroll down, you'll see a section called API key. Okay? What you'll need to do is copy this API key to your clipboard. So you can click reveal, and then you can copy it to your clipboard. Okay, now what you'll do is you'll go to your GitHub account. You will make a new GitHub repo, or if you already have one, just go to the settings page for that repo. I'm going to make a new one. So I'll call this API Service Fun GitHub Action. Okay, go to Settings. Go to Secrets. Okay, it says there are no secrets for this repository's environments. Click New Repository Secret. And then enter in Heroku API key, or at least enter in the same name as you have in your YAML file right here. Okay, and then under value, you will paste that value that you copied from your Heroku account here. Once you've done this, you'll click Add Secret, and you should be good to go with making a commit and then pushing that commit to GitHub. All right, I just added my repository secret. So I'll refresh this page, and right here under repository secret, there's my Heroku API key. All right, this is exciting. Now I can go back to my terminal here, I'll do a git status. Okay, so I've got this untracked.github repo, or sorry, .github directory. So I'm going to add it, make a commit. I'll say approach to C with action. Okay, I've already got a few remotes here from all the different approaches that I've been using this repository with. So I'm going to need to add another remote for that API Service Fund GitHub Action repo that I just made. So let me grab that URL. Just call it origin 2. Not feeling very creative here. There it is. All right, now I'm going to do git push origin to master. So that was really quick. Let me refresh this repo page. Okay, whenever you have a GitHub Action job that's running, you'll see this kind of orange circle here showing you that you've got something running. I'll click details, so we'll take a look at it. Okay, so here's my build job, setup job, run actions, checkout. So it copied the code. And now it's running that Heroku deploy action that I used in my own action. And this is going to take a little bit of time for a few reasons. One is it's going to have to clone my base Docker image, which is the Continuum IO Anaconda 3 image. Okay, that's a little over a 2 GB file. And then it's going to have to create the image for my app, my Flask app, and then it's going to have to register and push that image over to Heroku. So this will take a little bit of time, as I've stated. We're already about a minute into the job. So I'm going to pause the video and resume once this is done. All right, checking back in, it looks like every step of the build job completed successfully. And at the bottom here, complete job. Awesome. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to my Heroku app and I'm going to see what the status of deployment is. All right, so latest activity today at 4:43, it says deployed web, and here is the commit. So I'm going to click open app, and here it is, already deployed. That's awesome. And I want to check my predict endpoint. So I could do /predict here and then put in my query string. But to be consistent with my other videos, I'm going to head back over to VS Code where I've got a little interview predictor client script here that is going to make a request to the interview app gina.herokuapp.com URL. And we should get true back just like we've got the last couple times I've been testing this. So let's run it. We do get true back for our prediction using our decision tree. So it looks like we were successfully able to deploy our Flask app to Heroku using 2C. All right, I'd like to close the video, which is a few comments. I have shown 4 different ways to deploy a Python Flask app to Heroku. Which one you use is up to you. I'm not going to say one is better than the other. It's whichever workflow works best, and whatever you want to do every time you want to push. I will note that 2C lends itself really well to other GitHub actions in perhaps your CI/CD pipeline. So if you're like me and you've been using a GitHub action already for running your unit tests with PyTest for your Python projects, then 2C is going to integrate really nicely with that because, A, you're already using GitHub for your source control, and then B, you're already using GitHub Actions for your, at least your CI or your unit testing portion of your pipeline. All right, well, with that, thanks for watching. If you're just joining us for 2C, take a look at my other videos linked below for 1, 2A, and 2B, and you should be able to find an approach that works for your project. These aren't the only approaches. but these are the ones in my research and in my practices I found to be the most general and be the most helpful. Thanks again.